Hello, I'm Luke from Brownlow Utilities and welcome to today's Energy Market Snapshot. So perhaps unsurprisingly, the Strait of Hormuz remains the focal point of today's snapshot. We've seen America and Iran trading fire this morning despite a supposed continuation of the ceasefire. Bizarrely, nobody's come out this morning to say that that has actually been broken. There's just been continued concerns, and this is why we've seen the market react bullishly this morning, that this is going to become an even more prolonged conflict, despite the initial suggestions that this was going to be a very short in and out military operation from Donald Trump. What we're going to see from now is continued rhetoric from either side that is really going to kind of make things very difficult to predict where market's going to head in the long run, but you're going to see a very reactive market over the next week or so, basically responding to either of those two sides. What we have seen, and it may be perceived as good news, is one tanker has been able to be escorted out of the Strait by the American military. So a Maersk tanker this morning has been able to leave, although during a BBC interview this morning, Tim Wilkins of the Intertanko group said that essentially this doesn't change anything dramatically. We're seeing one tanker in isolation under very heavy military protection leaving the Strait, but it does give us a little bit of hope at the very least that this is something that can be resolved in the long run, or at least in the short term, which would be preferable. So again, as I say, be another week of very much watching what either side say, what the Iranians say, what the Americans say, and hoping that there will be a resolution to this conflict. Separate to that, and onto the more boring stuff from, well, depending on where you sit, renewable generation has been very, very strong this week, or at least into the opening of this week. So we've got summer climbs and some sunny temperature, depending on where you are in the country, and that has actually helped us generate quite a substantial amount of solar generation coming into this week. So less pressure on the gas side of things to actually generate electricity, and wind generation also remains reasonably high. Other things to note as well, we have seen a continued dip in the carbon price that has held prices down, and we are getting quite a substantial amount of gas coming in from Norway into both the UK and Europe, and that is helping to some degree, helping to bolster European storage levels, which we would like to see at a higher level now. Even though we're in summer, this is the time where we start to see builds occur ahead of winter, and we aren't quite there yet with European storage. It's still very low. The good news is that we aren't the lowest we've ever been. We are lower, slightly higher rather, than 2021 levels, but prices are factoring in the fact that European storage is very, very low for this time of year, typically. So your summer prices in the short term are very similar to what you could otherwise see in the winter. And that isn't really giving us any sort of propensity to buy gas now in the build up to winter. So the market is factoring in a lot of that. So that's it for this week. So thank you very much for joining us. We are going to be posting these updates on a regular basis, so please do feel free to subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, where we'll be posting these clips. And as always, if you have any questions or want to find anything else out about our services, want to speak to one of our professionals, please head to our website, www.brownlowutilities.co.uk, or follow us on any of our social media platforms. But as always, thanks very much for joining us.